Before we begin the story, let us know where you're watching from by leaving a comment below. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the story, everyone. Stella Morgan had three certainties in life. She hated corporate galas, despised being the center of attention, and, above all, could not stand Ryan Blackwell. So, naturally, fate decided she should experience all three simultaneously, with 300 witnesses. Everything started when she agreed to substitute for her cousin at the family company's charity event. It's just one evening. Stell, Natalie had pleaded over the phone, you sit quietly in the corner, enjoy free lobster, and leave. I promise nobody will even realize you're there. Stella should have known better. Natalie possessed a remarkable talent for transforming straightforward situations into complete catastrophes. The Grand Hotel ballroom overflowed with executives in designer suits, society wives checking their phones, and servers who glided between tables carrying crystal champagne flutes. Stella slouched in her chair, tugging at the borrowed sapphire dress that squeezed her ribs. She just needed to survive the next 2 hours without a dumping wine on someone influential. B. Stumbling over her own heels. Or C. Having to speak with Ryan Blackwell. Ryan sat 3 tables forward, displaying that maddeningly perfect smile he wore during every board meeting. Auburn hair styled with precision, a navy suit that probably equaled her monthly salary, and that demeanor of someone who'd never experienced disappointment. They'd collaborated for 6 months on the Morgan Blackwell Hotel Expansion Initiative. 6 months of Ryan challenging every recommendation she presented. 6 months of patronizing grins. Actually, Stella, if you examine the metrics properly. 6 months of Stella imagining accidentally, on purpose, knocking his coffee across the conference table. The dinner proceeded tediously. Speeches about charitable giving, emotional videos of children in need, additional champagne. Stella contemplated feigning illness when her Uncle Philip, the company's CEO and tonight's host, approached the podium wearing an enigmatic expression. Ladies and gentlemen, I have something extraordinary to share tonight. Stella retrieved her phone, probably announcing some tedious donation. Perfect moment to scroll through messages. As everyone knows, the partnership between the Morgan and Blackwell families through our enterprises has exceeded expectations. But this evening, he paused theatrically, we celebrate something even more remarkable. This connection transcends business. It's personal. Stella glanced up. Wedding? Natalie hadn't mentioned any relative getting engaged. It brings me tremendous pride to announce the engagement of... Please not Natalie. Please not Natalie. She'll murder me if I'm sitting here in her dress while they announce Stella Morgan. Stella's heart stopped. Her name, her complete name, amplified through the ballroom sound system. Error. Had to be an error. She wasn't even seeing anyone. And Ryan Blackwell. The ballroom burst into thunderous applause. Stella felt flames spread across her cheeks. Her gaze flew to Ryan's table. He appeared equally frozen. Champagne glass hovering mid-gesture, pure shock painted across his features. 200 heads swiveled toward her. 300 curious stares. 20 smartphones already recording, immortalizing her mortified expression. Where are our happy couple? Uncle Philip searched the crowd. Stella, Ryan, please join me to accept everyone's congratulations. Stay calm. It's just confusion. You stand, walk to that stage, and clarify that... But her legs refused cooperation, because clarifying meant embarrassing her uncle before 300 prominent guests, revealing she possessed zero knowledge about family plans, becoming the industry's laughingstock. A server materialized beside her, murmuring, Miss Morgan, please accompany me. Like a prisoner facing execution, Stella rose. Her knees wobbled. The restrictive dress prevented proper breathing. Or perhaps that was terror. Across the ballroom, Ryan was receiving similar escort. Their eyes connected midway, a silent, frantic exchange of, what is happening? They reached the stage together. Uncle Philip embraced them warmly, positioning them center stage. I'm absolutely thrilled. Moisture gathered in his eyes. Actual tears. You cannot imagine how long I've anticipated this moment. Stella attempted to interject, but her grandmother, Vivian Morgan, family matriarch and the most formidable woman in 3 generations, appeared on stage, clutching white roses. At last, grandmother thrust the bouquet into Stella's grip forcefully. Her expression behind that smile transmitted an unmistakable warning. Don't even think about humiliating me right now. Ryan looked equally pale. He leaned closer, whispering rapidly, "We need to discuss this immediately." "Really?" Stella hissed through her frozen smile, conscious of multiple cameras. "Kiss, kiss." Someone initiated the chant. Within seconds, the entire ballroom joined the chorus. Stella's stomach twisted violently. She considered fleeing or collapsing, perhaps simultaneously. Ryan stepped nearer, his steel-gray eyes reflecting her panic. "Just something brief," he muttered. "Afterwards, well, straighten this out. How exactly do you straighten out an engagement announcement witnessed by 300 people? No idea, but cooperate now or this situation deteriorates further." The ballroom reached fever pitch. Phones elevated, relatives positioning for optimal views, her grandmother radiating that expression meaning resistance was futile. Ryan grasped her hand, and what the actual heck, why did his hand feel so warm, and leaned forward. The kiss lasted mere seconds, appropriate, perfectly suitable for their professional audience. Yet it registered as the most peculiar thing Stella had ever experienced, because for one ridiculous instant, as Ryan's lips brushed hers and the ballroom erupted in celebration, her completely unreliable brain whispered, "Oh, unexpected." Then she retreated, lightheaded, and reality slammed back mercilessly. She was engaged to the man she resented most professionally, before 300 witnesses, with her grandmother clutching that bouquet like evidence and family members already flooding social media with photographs. Ryan maintained his grip on her hand, squeezing gently, not affectionately, but in shared desperation. "Smile," he breathed. "Meet me outside in the gardens. We have approximately 5 minutes before this spectacle becomes irreversible." "Too late," Stella replied, preserving her artificial smile as camera flashes exploded continuously. "This situation is already irreversible." Yet somewhere beneath the panic, one small, rebellious corner of her mind kept replaying that kiss, and she recognized that represented the smallest fraction of her current problems. The hotel gardens were supposed to be romantic, twinkling fairy lights wrapped around ancient oak trees, a marble fountain bubbling peacefully, rose bushes releasing their evening perfume. Right now, they felt like a crime scene. Stella burst through the French doors, yanking off her heels and practically sprinting across the manicured lawn. Behind her, the ballroom still buzzed with excitement, guests undoubtedly dissecting every detail of the surprise engagement. She reached the fountain and collapsed onto its edge, bouquet still clutched in her death grip. Her mind raced through increasingly desperate escape plans. Fake amnesia? No. Too soap opera. Claim it was a prank. Uncle Philip would never forgive her. Just run, change your name, move to Alaska, start a new life as a salmon fisherman. We're in serious trouble. Stella nearly fell into the fountain. Ryan had appeared silently beside her, loosening his tie with sharp, frustrated movements. His perfectly styled hair now looked slightly disheveled, and his normally composed expression had cracked into something close to panic. "You think?" Stella snapped. "What gave it away? The 300 witnesses, or the fact that my grandmother is probably already planning the wedding? My father texted me." Ryan held up his phone. The screen displayed a message in all caps. "So proud of you, son. Merger is secure now. Discuss prenup tomorrow." "Prenup?" Stella's voice climbed an octave. "We've been engaged for literally 7 minutes. 8 minutes," Ryan corrected automatically, then caught himself. "Sorry, force of habit. Of course you're counting." Stella pressed her palms against her temples. "Of course the man who color codes his expense reports is timing our fake engagement." Ryan's jaw tightened. "At least I'm organized, unlike someone who submitted the quarterly projections in Comic Sans. That was one time. And it was Natalie's laptop." Still, your name on the Ryan stopped himself, exhaling sharply. "We're doing it again." "Doing what?" "Fighting like we always do." He sat down on the fountain's edge. maintaining careful distance between them. Which isn't going to help us figure out how we ended up engaged without our knowledge or consent. Stella's anger deflated slightly. He was right, much as she hated admitting when Ryan was right. Someone set us up, she said slowly. That announcement was too specific, too planned. Your uncle seemed genuinely emotional, which means someone fed him false information. Stella's mind started connecting dots. Someone who knew we'd both be here tonight. Someone who knew about the merger talks between our families. They looked at each other simultaneously. Our grandmothers, they said in unison. Ryan pulled out his phone again, scrolling rapidly. Last week, Vivian visited my grandmother Margaret at her estate. They had lunch alone for 3 hours. 3 hours? Stella's eyes widened. What do two 70-year-old women discuss for 3 hours? Apparently, our futures. Ryan showed her a photo from his grandmother's social media. The two elderly women sat in a garden, heads bent together conspiratorially, looking entirely too pleased with themselves. Caption: Afternoon tea with my dearest friend. Such wonderful plans ahead. That scheming? Stella caught herself. They planned this. The whole thing. They probably told Uncle Philip we were secretly dating and wanted to announce it tonight, which explains why he had tears in his eyes. Ryan stood abruptly, pacing. This is calculated, strategic. They've essentially trapped us in a public commitment we can't easily escape without massive embarrassment to both families. Can't we just tell everyone the truth? Ryan stopped pacing. Can you? Stella opened her mouth, then closed it. Could she march back into that ballroom and announce that her beloved grandmother had manipulated everyone? That her Uncle Philip's joyful announcement was based on lies? That the 300 guests who'd just witnessed their kiss and posted congratulations across social media had been duped? Your grandmother has been planning your family's 120th anniversary gala for months, Ryan continued quietly. My grandmother is receiving an award from the Business Council next week. If we expose them now, we humiliate them publicly, ruin their reputations, make them look like meddling fools, Stella finished. Exactly. They sat in miserable silence, the fairy lights twinkling mockingly overhead. So, what do we do? Stella finally asked. Just stay engaged, temporarily. Ryan's business mind was clearly already formulating strategies. We maintain the engagement for a reasonable period, maybe 3 months, long enough that when we announce an amicable breakup, it won't seem suspicious. We can cite professional conflicts, different life goals. 3 months of pretending to be in love with you. Stella's voice dripped with skepticism. We can't even have a 5-minute conversation without arguing. We're having one now because we're united against a common enemy, our grandmothers. Ryan's lips twitched. Was that almost a smile? Fair point. Besides, Stella continued, everyone at work will notice. We've been professionally hostile for 6 months. Suddenly we're engaged. Nobody will believe it. Then we sell it. Ryan turned to face her fully. Office romance started as rivalry, developed into attraction. Corporate types love that narrative. You've clearly thought this through. I analyze problems for a living, Stella. It's what I do. And what I do, Stella stood, facing him squarely, is creative problem solving. Which means I can see approximately 17 ways this plan could explode in our faces. Name 3. 1. Someone investigates and discovers we've never actually dated. 2. We slip up and reveal we can't stand each other. 3. One of us meets someone we actually want to date, and this fake engagement ruins it. Ryan's expression flickered something Stella couldn't quite read. Are you currently seeing anyone? That's irrelevant. It's extremely relevant. If you have a boyfriend who's about to see engagement photos all over social media, I don't. The admission came out sharper than intended. Nobody, currently. This one felt different, less hostile, more aware. Stella suddenly remembered that kiss. Brief as it was. The unexpected warmth of it. The way her traitorous brain had whispered interesting instead of horrifying. Ryan cleared his throat. So we're agreed. 3 months. Fake engagement. We maintain it convincingly at work and family events. then engineer an amicable separation. And our grandmothers, we deal with them after, privately, when there's no audience to humiliate them in front of. Stella studied him. In the fairy lights, Ryan looked less like the infuriating colleague who questioned her every decision and more like a person, someone equally trapped, equally frustrated, someone with surprisingly nice eyes when he wasn't using them to judge her spreadsheet formatting. "Stop that," she told her brain firmly. "Fine," she said. 3 months. "But we need rules." "Agreed." "I'll draft a document." "Of course you will. Outlining boundaries, public appearance requirements, and exit strategies. You're going to make a contract for our fake engagement. Would you prefer we improvise and fail spectacularly?" Stella hated that he had a point. "Fine. Draft your contract. But I get approval rights on all terms." "Naturally." Ryan extended his hand. "Partners?" Stella looked at his outstretched hand. This was insane. Absolutely ridiculous. 3 months of pretending to love someone she'd spent 6 months resenting. But the alternative was destroying her grandmother's reputation and becoming the family scandal. She shook his hand. "Partners." Ryan's grip was firm, warm, professional. Exactly what a business handshake should be. So why did her pulse jump slightly? "It's just adrenaline," she told herself. "From the panic, nothing more." "We should return," Ryan said, releasing her hand. "People will notice our absence." "Right. Can't have our first act as an engaged couple be disappearing for a suspicious amount of time." They started walking back toward the ballroom. Halfway there, Ryan spoke again. "For what it's worth, Comic Sans aside, your quarterly projections were thorough. I was impressed by the market analysis." Stella stopped walking. "Did you just compliment my work? I'm capable of professional recognition. Could have fooled me with 6 months of criticism." "That wasn't criticism. That was refinement suggestions." "Refinement suggestions?" Stella laughed despite herself. "Is that what we're calling it?" Ryan's mouth quirked. "Definitely, almost a smile. We're partners now. Might as well be honest." "Fine. Honest. Your color-coded filing system is excessive, but admittedly efficient. That physically hurt you to say, didn't it? Like pulling teeth." This time Ryan actually smiled, a real one. It transformed his entire face, making him look younger, less rigid, almost attractive. "No," Stella's brain warned. "Absolutely not. Do not go there. Shall we?" Ryan offered his arm. Might as well look convincing. Stella hesitated, then slipped her arm through his. Through the suit fabric, she could feel the solid warmth of him. This close, she caught the scent of his cologne, cedar and crisp. 3 months, she reminded herself. Just 3 months. They reached the French doors. Through the glass, they could see the ballroom still celebrating, champagne flowing. "Ready?" Ryan asked. "Absolutely not. Me neither." They shared a look, united in their mutual predicament. Then Ryan pushed open the doors. The moment they entered, a cheer erupted. Someone thrust champagne into their hands. Uncle Philip rushed over, already discussing wedding venues, and Stella caught sight of her grandmother across the room. Vivian stood beside Margaret Blackwell. Both women wore identical expressions of triumphant satisfaction. They saw Stella looking and raised their glasses in a subtle toast. Oh, they were so pleased with themselves. Stella raised her champagne glass back, smiling sweetly, then mouthed silently, "We know." Her grandmother's smile didn't falter. Instead, she winked, actually winked. Beside her, Ryan muttered under his breath, "They're not even pretending to be innocent." "Nope. This is going to be a long 3 months." "Yep." Someone called for another toast. Ryan's arm slipped around Stella's waist, purely for show, she told herself. Definitely just for appearances. But when he leaned down to whisper in her ear, "Try not to look like you're attending a funeral," his breath against her skin sent an entirely unexpected shiver down her spine. 3 months, she thought again. This was either going to be the longest 3 months of her life or the most interesting. Possibly both. Stella arrived at work Monday morning with 3 things: an extra-large coffee, yesterday's newspaper, which featured a photo of her and Ryan kissing on page 3 of the society section, and approximately 0 hours of sleep. The office was buzzing. She could feel it the moment the elevator doors opened. Every head in the open-plan workspace swiveled toward her. Conversations halted mid-sentence. Jessica from accounting literally dropped her stapler. "Well," Stella muttered to herself, "at least I'm wearing waterproof mascara." She had dressed strategically today. Her most professional navy suit, hair pulled into a sleek bun, minimal jewelry, the armor of a woman prepared for battle, or at least for a day of invasive questions from coworkers who had spent the weekend dissecting her love life. "Stella!" Natalie materialized from nowhere, grabbing Stella's arm and practically dragging her toward the break room. Her cousin's eyes were wild with excitement and guilt in equal measure. "I am so sorry," Natalie hissed, the moment they were alone. "I had no idea Grandma Vivian was planning that. I thought you were just filling in for me at a boring dinner. If I'd known you would have what? Warned me I was about to be ambushed into a fake engagement?" "Fake?" Natalie's voice jumped 3 octaves. "What do you mean, fake?" "The kiss looked pretty real on Instagram." Stella grabbed her cousin's phone. Sure enough, at least 15 different angles of that kiss had been posted, shared, and commented on hundreds of times. Morgan Blackwell wedding was apparently trending. "It's complicated," Stella said carefully. "Complicated how?" "Stella Morgan, are you actually engaged to Ryan Blackwell or not?" Before Stella could answer, her phone buzzed. "Ryan, conference room C, 8:15 a.m. I have the contract." Of course he does, Stella thought. The man probably hadn't slept either, but had spent his insomnia productively drafting legal documents while Shed spent hers eating ice cream and questioning all her life choices. "Well, talk later." "We better. I want details." Stella escaped before Natalie could launch into full interrogation mode. She navigated the gauntlet of curious stares, forced smiles, and whispered congratulations. Someone from marketing actually gave her a thumbs up. Conference room C was blessedly empty when she arrived, empty except for Ryan, who sat at the head of the table with his laptop open, looking infuriatingly put together despite the chaos of the past 48 hours. "Morning," he said without looking up. "Coffee." A fresh cup sat waiting at the chair beside him, still steaming, prepared exactly how she liked it. 2 creams, 1 sugar. Stella paused. "How did you know how I take my coffee?" "I'm observant." Ryan finally glanced up. "You order the same thing every morning at the cafe downstairs. Monday through Friday, 7:45 a.m. Saturday you don't come in. Sunday you arrive at noon. That's..." Stella didn't know whether to be impressed or disturbed. "Borderline creepy. I prefer detail-oriented." He gestured to the chair. "Sit. We have approximately 30 minutes before the morning meeting, and we need to establish parameters." Stella sat, pulling the coffee toward her. It was perfect, which annoyed her more than it should. Ryan turned his laptop around. On the screen was a document titled, "Temporary Engagement Agreement, Confidential." "You actually wrote a contract," Stella said. "Did you doubt I would?" "No, but seeing it in Times New Roman makes it somehow more absurd." "Would you have preferred Comic Sans?" "Despite everything," Stella snorted. "Touché." Ryan's mouth quirked, that almost smile again. "I've outlined 8 primary sections. We can negotiate terms, but the foundation needs to be solid." Stella scanned the document. It was remarkably thorough. Section 1, Duration, Engagement, period 90 days from announcement date. Breakup timeline, end of week 12. Public statement, mutual decision, remain friends and colleagues. Section 2, Public appearances. Minimum 3 joint events per month. Weekly lunch together, visible to coworkers. Coordinated social media presence, limited but convincing. Family dinners, alternate between families. Bi-weekly. Section 3, Physical boundaries. Hand-holding permitted in public settings. Casual affection, arm around waist. Brief kiss required for believability. Extended intimate contact, case by case, mutual consent required. Private meetings. Maintain professional distance unless establishing alibi. Alibi? Stella looked up. What kind of fake engagement requires alibis? The kind where our grandmothers are clearly still scheming, Ryan said grimly. I received a text from mine this morning. She's invited us to her estate next weekend for an intimate family celebration. Mine too. She wants to discuss wedding venues. Wedding venues? Ryan's composure cracked slightly. We've been engaged for 2 days. Apparently that's plenty of time in Grandma Vivian's world. Stella continued reading. Section 4. Work relationship. Maintain professional collaboration. Reduce visible conflicts. No public arguments. Support each other's presentations and proposals. Joint credit on merger finalization. Section 5. Communication. Daily text check-ins. Shared calendar. Code phrases for extraction from uncomfortable situations. Code phrases. Stella couldn't help smiling. Ryan looked almost sheepish. If either of us texts the printer is broken, the other calls immediately with an urgent work crisis. That's actually clever. I have my moments. Section 6. Financial boundaries. No shared accounts. Split costs for public dates. Section 7. Privacy. No sharing arrangement details with anyone. Section 8. Exit strategy. Detailed breakup announcement. Post-engagement behavior. Family reaction management. This is comprehensive, Stella admitted. I'm aware we're faking an engagement, but I'd prefer we fake it successfully. Ryan closed his laptop. However, I recognize this is bilateral. What amendments do you want? Stella considered. Section 3 needs adjustment. Extended intimate contact is too vague. Agreed. Suggestions? Define parameters. Kissing for photos or public moments. Fine. But nothing beyond that, without explicit discussion first. Ryan nodded, making notes. Reasonable. What else? Section 4. I won't pretend you're right when you're wrong just to avoid conflict. I'm not asking you to. I'm suggesting we channel disagreements privately rather than debating in front of the entire office. So I can still tell you when your projections are overly conservative. If I can still tell you when your timelines are unrealistically optimistic. They stared at each other, then simultaneously smiled. This is the weirdest negotiation I've ever had, Stella said. Same. Ryan pulled up a fresh document. Let me add your modifications. Anything else? Stella thought about Saturday night, the fairy lights, that unexpected moment when Ryan had complimented her work. The way his arm around her waist had felt both foreign and somehow right. What happens if... She started, then stopped. If what? If one of us meets someone during these 3 months. Someone real. Ryan's fingers paused over the keyboard. That's in Section 7. If either party develops genuine interest in someone else, we accelerate the exit strategy. 2 weeks, clean break, amicable announcement. And the families? Well, survive their disappointment. Stella studied his profile. You've really thought through every scenario. I try to prepare for contingencies. Ryan glanced at her. Does that answer your concern? What if it's not someone else? Her brain whispered treacherously. What if it's him? Stella shoved that thought into a box and locked it. Yes, that works. Then we're agreed. Ryan pulled up the signature page. 3 months, these terms, partners in this elaborate charade. Stella should have felt relieved. This was logical, structured, a business arrangement with clear parameters and exit conditions. So why did signing a contract to fake date Ryan Blackwell feel more dangerous than the actual surprise engagement? One more thing, she said. Name it. If we're doing this, we commit fully. No half measures. Because if we're unconvincing, our grandmothers will know. And then this entire plan falls apart. Ryan's gaze sharpened. Meaning? Meaning when we're in public, we sell it. Really sell it. Couple behavior. The whole performance. I can be convincing. Can you? Stella challenged. Because you've spent 6 months barely tolerating me. Now suddenly you're madly in love. People will notice inconsistency. Then we establish a narrative. Ryan's business mind engaged fully. Office rivals, constant arguing, but underneath that friction was unresolved tension. The engagement announcement forced us to confront feelings we'd been denying. Stella paused. That's actually believable. It mirrors reality. Just substitute actual tension for romantic tension. And you think you can fake romantic tension? Ryan's eyes locked with hers. Something flickered in their gray depths that made Stella's breath catch. Can you? He asked quietly. The air in the conference room suddenly felt charged. They were sitting closer than Stella had realized, close enough to see flecks of blue in his eyes, close enough to notice the faint cedar scent of his cologne, close enough to remember exactly how his lips had felt against hers. This is a terrible idea, her rational brain screamed. I asked you a question, Ryan said, voice lower now. Can you fake being attracted to me? Stella's pulse hammered. This was a test, a challenge, Ryan Blackwell seeing if she could commit to this insane plan as thoroughly as he could. She leaned in slightly. Can you fake being attracted to me? Ryan's jaw tightened. For a long moment neither moved. Then his hand came up, fingers brushing a strand of hair from her face. The gesture was gentle, deliberate. His thumb grazed her cheekbone. Who says it'd be faking? He murmured. Stella's brain short-circuited. Then Ryan leaned back, breaking the moment, expression cooling back to professional neutrality. See? Convincing. That was. Stella tried to restart her cognitive functions. That was just acting. Ryan's tone was perfectly level, which is what we'll be doing for the next 3 months. I can commit to this performance if you can. Performance. Right. Acting. So why did her cheek still tingle where Head touched it? Fine, Stella managed. I can commit. Excellent. Ryan pulled up the contract again. Then shall we make this official? Stella took the stylus he offered. Her hand only shook slightly as she signed her name at the bottom of the most ridiculous document she'd ever agreed to. Ryan signed beneath her signature. Partners, he said. Partners, Stella echoed. They shook hands, professional, businesslike, completely appropriate. Except this time, when Ryan's hand enclosed hers, Stella couldn't ignore the warmth, couldn't pretend she didn't notice how his thumb brushed across her knuckles, couldn't deny the small electric current that sparked between them. 3 months, she reminded herself firmly. Just 3 months of pretending. A knock on the conference room door made them spring apart. Jessica from accounting poked her head in, grinning. Sorry to interrupt the lovebirds, but the morning meeting starts in 5 minutes. Well, be right there, Ryan said smoothly. Jessica left, but not before giving them an exaggerated wink. Stella groaned. This is going to be insufferable. Probably. Ryan stood, gathering his laptop. But we're committed now. Literally signed a contract. Most romantic thing I've ever done, Stella said dryly. Your dating life must be very sad, says the woman who agreed to a fake engagement via legal document. They headed toward the door together. Ryan paused with his hand on the handle. Stella. Yeah? For what it's worth, I meant what I said Saturday night. Your work is impressive. I may have been, he searched for words, overly critical before. You think? I'm apologizing badly. But still. Stella softened slightly. Accepted. And for what it's worth, your color coding system saved my presentation last month when I couldn't find the regional data. I know. You never reorganized the shared drive afterward. That would have felt like admitting you were right. But I was right. Which is annoying. Ryan smiled, actually. Fully smiled. You're going to be impossible to fake date, aren't you? Absolutely. Stella smiled back. But you signed the contract. No backing out now. Wouldn't dream of it. They opened the door and stepped into the hallway. Immediately, Ryan's hand found the small of her back, possessive, natural, exactly what an attentive fiancé would do. Stella leaned into the touch, playing her part. Just acting, she told herself as they walked toward the conference room together, fielding congratulations and curious looks. Just 3 months of very convincing acting. But as Ryan's hand stayed warm against her back and her body responded to his proximity with unexpected awareness, Stella couldn't shake one persistent thought. What happens when acting starts feeling a little too real? Continued exactly as requested, the entire remaining text, fully punctuated, timestamps removed, nothing cut, nothing shortened, no channel promotions or subscription requests present in the original anyway. The Blackwell estate sat on 15 acres of pristine Connecticut countryside, rolling lawns and ancient maple trees that had probably witnessed a century of family secrets. The main house was a sprawling Georgian colonial that screamed old money, the kind that didn't need to announce itself because everyone already knew. Stella sat in Ryan's sleek black Tesla, as meticulously maintained as everything else in his life, and seriously contemplated jumping out while they were still moving. "You're doing the thing again," Ryan said without taking his eyes off the road. "What thing?" "That thing where you tap your fingers against your thigh in increasing tempo. You do it before presentations when you're nervous." Stella immediately stopped tapping. "I'm not nervous. You've checked your phone 6 times in the last 10 minutes. Maybe I'm popular. You're nervous." Ryan glanced at her briefly. "It's okay. I'm nervous too." That admission surprised her. Ryan Blackwell, who presented quarterly reports to the board with the confidence of a conquering general, was nervous about dinner with his grandmother. "Really? My grandmother once made a senator cry at a charity luncheon because he mispronounced her name." Ryan's grip tightened slightly on the steering wheel. "And now we're walking into a dinner where she and your grandmother, 2 women who clearly orchestrated our entire situation, are going to interrogate us while pretending to be supportive. When you put it like that, jumping out of a moving car seems reasonable. I'm going 45 miles per hour. I'm flexible. I'll roll." Ryan laughed. An actual, genuine laugh that transformed his usually serious face. "If you bail, I'm telling everyone you got cold feet. You wouldn't dare." Contract. Section 5. Subsection C. Both parties must attend mandatory family events unless hospitalized or deceased. You memorized the contract. I wrote the contract. Of course you did. Stella smoothed down her dress for the 100th time. Shed changed outfits 4 times before settling on an emerald wrap dress that Natalie had insisted made her look effortlessly elegant. Right now she felt more like frantically anxious. Ryan pulled through the estate gates. Up close, the house was even more imposing. Warm light glowed from tall windows, and Stella could see figures moving inside, probably the firing squad. "Okay," Ryan said, parking the car. "Remember the story. Office rivals, unresolved tension, forced proximity made us realize our true feelings. We've been secretly seeing each other for 3 weeks before the announcement. We kept it quiet because we wanted to be sure. And we decided to go public when your grandmother asked pointed questions about my availability, and you panicked and said we were already together, which led to your grandmother calling my grandmother and—" Ryan gestured vaguely. "Here we are, living the dream." They looked at each other. The late afternoon sun filtered through the car windows, catching the auburn highlights in Ryan's hair. Dressed more casually than usual, dark jeans, charcoal sweater that probably cost more than her monthly car payment, he somehow still looked unfairly put together. "You look nice," Ryan said suddenly. Stella blinked. "What, the dress? It's—" He seemed to struggle for words. "Nice. The color suits you." "Oh." Stella felt warmth creep up her neck. "Thanks. You two look nice, I mean. The sweater is— sweater-like." "Sweater-like?" Ryan's mouth quirked. "I'll take it. I'm not good at compliments. I've noticed. You once told me my presentation had adequate visual organization. That was a compliment. Most people just say good job. I'm not most people." "No," Ryan said softly, his eyes holding hers. "You're not." The moment stretched, charged with something Stella couldn't quite name. Then Ryan's phone buzzed, shattering the spell. "Grandmother Margaret, darling, we can see you sitting in the driveway. Stop delaying and come inside." "They're watching us," Stella said. "Of course they are." Ryan pocketed his phone. "Ready?" "Not even slightly." "Me neither." He opened his door, then paused, circled the car, and opened hers, offering his hand. The gesture was smooth, natural, exactly what a devoted fiancé would do. Acting, Stella reminded herself as she took his hand, but his hand was warm, his grip steady, and when his thumb brushed across her knuckles, did he even realize he was doing it? Stella felt that now familiar spark of electricity. They walked toward the house, hands linked. The front door opened before they reached it, revealing an elegant woman in her early 70s, with silver hair in a perfect bob and keen blue eyes that missed nothing. "Ryan, darling." Margaret Blackwell embraced her grandson with obvious affection, then turned to Stella. "And Stella, finally, I get to know the woman who captured my grandson's heart. Captured his heart right, with a conspiracy. Mrs. Blackwell, it's wonderful to meet you properly," Stella said, accepting the embrace. Margaret smelled like expensive perfume and determination. "Please call me Margaret. We're family now." She linked her arm through Stella's, effectively separating her from Ryan. "Come, Vivian is in the drawing room. She's been absolutely bursting with excitement." "I bet she has," Stella thought darkly. Margaret led them through a foyer with a chandelier probably worth more than Stella's entire apartment. The drawing room was understated elegance. Cream sofas, antique furniture, and a fireplace large enough to roast a small car. Vivian rose from one of the sofas, impeccable in lavender pantsuit. Her eyes lit up. "There's my beautiful granddaughter." The two women embraced, and Vivian whispered in Stella's ear, "Play along, dear. Well, talk later." That sounded ominous. "And Ryan." Vivian pulled him into a hug. "Taking such good care of my Stella, I hope." "Absolutely, Mrs. Morgan." "Vivian, please." "We're going to be family." A throat cleared near the fireplace. Stella turned and felt her stomach drop. Uncle Philip was there, along with Ryan's father, a tall, distinguished man with Ryan's same gray eyes, and several other relatives she vaguely recognized from company events. "Surprise!" Margaret clasped her hands. "I thought it would be lovely to have a proper family dinner, get everyone acquainted." "Everyone?" Stella counted at least 12 people. "Just immediate family," Margaret assured her. "Nothing too overwhelming." Ryan's hand found Stella's lower back, a gesture that was becoming familiar. She leaned into him slightly, playing her role. "How wonderful." Stella managed, her smile feeling strained. The next hour was a masterclass in social torture. They were separated almost immediately. Margaret swept Stella off to meet Ryan's aunts, who asked pointed questions about wedding dates and children while offering champagne. Vivian kept Ryan occupied with his father and uncle, undoubtedly grilling him about intentions. Stella found herself on a sofa between Ryan's Aunt Caroline and cousin Melissa, both determined to extract every detail of the romance. "So when did you first know Ryan was special?" Caroline asked, eyes bright. "When I wanted to throw a stapler at his head during the budget meeting." Stella thought. "It was gradual," she said aloud. "Gradual. Ryan has this way of surprising you. Just when you think you have him figured out, he reveals another layer." That was actually true, she realized. She had spent 6 months thinking Ryan was just an uptight perfectionist, but he drafted that ridiculous contract with surprising humor, noticed how she took her coffee, admitted being nervous tonight. "That's so romantic," Melissa sighed. "Office romances are the best. All that tension." There was definitely tension, Stella agreed carefully. Across the room she caught Ryan's eye. He was trapped between his father and Uncle Philip, both men deep in merger talk. Ryan's expression was politely attentive, but she could see the slight tightness around his eyes, his tell when stressed. He caught her looking, and gave a small, conspiratorial eye roll. Despite everything, Stella smiled. "Oh, look at that," Caroline cooed. "The way you two look at each other, young love, is so precious." If only you knew, Stella thought. Dinner was announced, and they moved to a formal dining room with a table that could seat 20. Name cards directed everyone, and naturally Stella found herself directly across from Ryan, with their grandmothers flanking them like prison guards. The meal was exquisite, multiple courses, each more elaborate than the last. Conversation flowed around business, charity events, family history. Stella concentrated on not spilling anything or exposing their charade. "So, Ryan," Vivian said during the main course, tone deceptively casual, "how did you propose?" I realized we never heard the story. Every head turned toward them. Stella's mind went blank. They hadn't discussed this. Ryan's expression remained calm. "Actually, I haven't officially proposed yet." Margaret's fork clattered against her plate. "You haven't?" The announcement was somewhat premature. Ryan reached across the table, covering Stella's hand with his thumb, stroking her knuckles in a gesture that felt almost unconscious. He'd been planning something special, private, just the two of us. The announcement forced our hand, but I still plan to propose properly when the moment is right, when it's just us, without an audience. The table collectively sighed, all except the grandmothers, who exchanged a look Stella couldn't interpret. "That's incredibly romantic," Melissa breathed. "That's my grandson," Margaret said with satisfaction, always so thoughtful. Under the table, Stella felt something brush her ankle. She glanced at Ryan, who maintained perfect innocence while his foot gently nudged hers. A silent question. "That okay?" She nudged back. "Nice save." His lips quirked slightly. "And what about you, Stella?" Margaret leaned forward. "Have you thought about the wedding date, venue? I know several wonderful planners who could." "We're taking it slow," Stella interrupted gently. "Everything happens so fast. We just want to enjoy being engaged for a while before we start planning. But not too slow," Vivian added meaningfully. "You're not getting any younger, dear. I'm 28. "Exactly. I was married at 23, different era, Grandma." "Speaking of which," Ryan's father interjected, clearly sensing Stella's discomfort, "Ryan tells me you're leading the West Coast expansion analysis." Stella could have kissed the man. "Yes, I've been reviewing market viability in Seattle and Portland." "Fascinating. What's your preliminary assessment?" They launched into a business discussion that allowed Stella to breathe. Across from her, Ryan mouthed thank you toward his father, who gave an almost imperceptible nod. Maybe Ryan's family wasn't entirely made up of conspirators and interrogators. After dinner, the group moved to a sitting room for coffee and dessert. Somehow, Stella and Ryan ended up on a love seat, slightly apart from everyone else, probably by design. That was exhausting. Stella murmured, accepting the coffee Ryan handed her. "We survived." He settled beside her, close enough that their thighs touched. "My father likes you. Your father saved me from your grandmother's wedding planning ambush." He's strategic like that. Ryan sipped his coffee. "Your grandmother asked me about my 5-year plan, including projected number of children." Stella choked on her coffee. "She what?" "Apparently she believes 3 is optimal. 2 seems incomplete, 4 excessive. I'm going to kill her. Get in line." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the family mingle. From their position they could observe both grandmothers near the fireplace, heads bent in conversation. "They're plotting again," Stella noted. "Definitely." Ryan set down his coffee cup. "We should probably give them a show. Make this look convincing. What did you have in mind?" Instead of answering, Ryan shifted, his arm sliding along the back of the love seat behind her shoulders. The movement brought him closer, his body angled toward hers in a way that suggested intimacy. "Tell me something true," he said quietly, voice pitched for her ears alone. Stella's breath caught. "What?" "Something real. Not the performance, just something true about Stella Morgan." The request surprised her. This wasn't in the contract. "Why?" "Because we're going to be doing this for 3 months. Might as well actually know each other." His eyes searched hers. "Something nobody at the office knows." Stella hesitated. This felt dangerous, sharing real things when everything else was fabricated. But there was genuine curiosity in Ryan's expression. "I wanted to be a photographer," she said finally. "Before business school, I spent a summer in Europe just traveling and taking pictures. No plans, no schedule, just exploring." What changed? Reality. Family expectations. The understanding that artistic dreams don't usually pay student loans. She shrugged. "I'm good at business, so I do business." "But you still take pictures?" How did he know that? Ryan smiled at her expression. "You have a camera in your desk drawer. I've seen you take it out during lunch breaks when you think nobody's watching. You photograph the city from the office windows." Stella felt exposed, seen. "You're creepily observant." "I prefer attentive." His fingers played with a strand of her hair that had escaped her, updo a gesture that looked affectionate to any observer but felt electric to Stella. "Your turn. Ask me something true." Stella thought about it. What did she actually want to know about Ryan Blackwell, beyond his annoying perfectionism and color-coded filing systems. "Why do you always work late?" she asked. "Even when everyone else has gone home, you're still there." Ryan's expression shifted, something vulnerable crossing his features. "Because it's quiet. No expectations, no performance, just me and the work." He paused. "And because my apartment is empty, has been for 2 years after my last relationship ended. I never quite got used to going home." Stella's chest tightened unexpectedly. She'd never considered that Ryan's perfectionism might be armor, that his constant work might be avoidance. "That's lonely," she said softly. Sometimes. His eyes met hers. Less so lately. The air between them charged with something that definitely wasn't acting. Stella was acutely aware of every point of contact, his thigh against hers, his arm behind her shoulders, his fingers still playing with her hair. "Ryan," she started, not sure what she wanted to say. "They're watching," he murmured. "Our grandmothers. We should—" But neither moved. They stayed there, caught between pretense and something dangerously real. Then Ryan leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away. His hand cupped her cheek, thumb brushing her cheekbone in a gesture that echoed their moment in the conference room. "Is this okay?" he breathed. Stella nodded, not trusting her voice. His lips met hers softly, not like the quick peck at the announcement. This kiss was slower, deeper, more deliberate. His mouth moved against hers with surprising gentleness, and Stella found herself responding without thinking, her hand coming up to rest against his chest. She could feel his heartbeat under her palm, rapid, matching her own. The kiss lasted maybe 10 seconds, an eternity. Not nearly long enough. When they separated, Ryan's pupils were dilated, his breathing slightly uneven. "That was convincing," Stella finished, voice shakier than shed-like. "Very convincing." "Right. Convincing." From across the room came a sound suspiciously like satisfied laughter from the grandmother contingent. "We gave them their show," Stella said. "Mission accomplished." They pulled apart slightly, but Ryan's arm stayed draped across her shoulders. Stella stayed close, her head tilted toward his. To anyone watching, they looked like a couple, comfortable with each other. Comfortable being close. And the terrifying thing was, Stella realized, it didn't feel like acting anymore. "Stella," Ryan said quietly. "Yeah? That kiss just now." His fingers traced small patterns on her shoulder. "Tell me you felt something." Her heart hammered. This was dangerous territory. "Ryan, we have a contract." "Forget the contract for 1 second. His eyes searched hers intently. "Did you feel something?" Stella looked at him, really looked. At the man who'd gone from infuriating colleague to co-conspirator to whatever this was becoming. The man who noticed her coffee preferences and her secret photography, who admitted loneliness and nervousness, who kissed her like she mattered. "Yes," she whispered. "I felt something." Ryan's sharp intake of breath was audible. "Stella, but that doesn't change anything," she continued quickly. "We have 3 months, a plan. We can't complicate this by what? Actually liking each other? By confusing performance with reality? What if it's not confusion?" Ryan's hand moved from her shoulder to her jaw, tilting her face toward his. "What if it's real?" Stella's mind raced. This was the exact scenario they'd discussed in the contract. If one of them developed real feelings, they'd accelerate the exit strategy. Clean break, move on. But sitting here with Ryan's touch sending shivers through her, with his eyes full of something that looked a lot like hope, the thought of walking away felt impossible. "This is a terrible idea," she said. "Probably the worst. We work together. Our families are already planning the wedding. If this goes wrong, it won't. You can't know that." "You're right. I can't." Ryan's thumb stroked her cheekbone. "But for the first time in 2 years, I want to take that risk." Stella's resolve wavered. Everything logical screamed this was dangerous. Mixing real feelings with their fake engagement was a recipe for disaster. But Ryan was looking at her like she was the only person in the room, like she mattered, like this actually mattered. "Ryan, there you are." Aunt Caroline appeared, breaking the moment. We're setting up the photo wall. Margaret wants pictures of the happy couple. Reality crashed back. Ryan's hand dropped from Stella's face, but he stood and offered her his hand. Shall we? Stella took it, letting him pull her up. They followed Caroline to where an elaborate backdrop had been set up, probably by the grandmothers, complete with "Congratulations Stella" and Ryan in elegant script. The next 20 minutes were a flurry of posed photos. Stella and Ryan with various family members, holding champagne glasses, cutting an engagement cake that had materialized from somewhere. Through it all, Ryan stayed close, hand at her back, arm around her waist. Small touches that could have been performance, but felt like something more. And every time their eyes met, Stella saw the same question reflected in his gaze. What are we doing? She wished she had an answer. Finally, the evening wound down. Goodbyes were exchanged, promises made for future dinners. The grandmothers looked entirely too pleased with themselves. Safe drive home, Margaret told them, embracing Ryan. And Ryan, don't wait too long for that proper proposal. I won't, grandmother. Vivian hugged Stella tightly. You look happy, sweetheart. Really happy. Thanks, Grandma. They escaped to Ryan's car. The moment the doors closed, sealing them in private silence, the tension that had been building all evening seemed to condense. That was intense, Stella said. Understatement. Ryan started the car but didn't put it in gear. He sat there, hands on the steering wheel, staring straight ahead. Stella, about what I said. We should talk about it later, she said quickly. When we're not exhausted and overwhelmed. Later, Ryan agreed. But we are going to talk about it. I know. He finally pulled out of the driveway. The drive back was quieter than the drive there, but not uncomfortable, the silence of two people with a lot to think about. When Ryan pulled up to Stella's apartment building, he insisted on walking her to her door. What kind of fiancé would I be otherwise? At her door they stood in the hallway, neither quite ready to say goodbye. Thank you, Stella said, for tonight, for the proposal story, for saving me from wedding planning questions. We're partners, remember? Ryan's hand came up, tucking that same strand of hair behind her ear. The gesture was becoming familiar. We look out for each other, even when it's not about the fake engagement. Especially then, Stella's heart did something complicated in her chest. Good night, Ryan. Good night, Stella. He leaned in, pressing a soft kiss to her forehead, sweet, gentle, nothing like the passionate kiss from earlier, but somehow more intimate. Then he stepped back, that crooked, almost smile on his face. See you tomorrow. Coffee at 7:45. I'll have your order ready. Stella watched him walk back down the hallway, waited until he turned the corner before letting herself into her apartment. Once inside, she collapsed against the door, her carefully maintained composure finally cracking. What had started as a ridiculous fake engagement to save face with their families was spiraling into something she hadn't anticipated. Real attraction, real connection, real feelings. Her phone buzzed. Ryan. Made it home safely. Thank you for tonight, for playing your part so well. Stella stared at the message. Playing her part, right? This was still performance. Still a contract with an expiration date. Stella, you too. The proposal story was brilliant, very convincing. Ryan. Was it the story that was convincing? Or us? Stella's fingers hovered over the keyboard. This was the moment she could deflect, keep things professional, maintain boundaries. Or she could be honest. Stella. Maybe both. Good night, Ryan. Ryan. Good night, Stella. Sweet dreams. She set her phone down, knowing sleep would be impossible. Because despite every logical reason this was a terrible idea, despite the contract and the complications and the 3-month deadline, Stella was falling for Ryan Blackwell, and she had no idea what to do about it. The problem with fake dating your colleague, Stella discovered, was that Monday morning meetings became significantly more complicated, especially when said colleague looked at you like you hung the moon while discussing quarterly projections. As you can see from slide 7, Ryan was saying, presentation crisp and professional. The West Coast expansion shows promising preliminary data, particularly due to Stella's exceptional market analysis. Every head swiveled toward her. Stella felt heat creep up her neck. Ryan giving her credit in meetings that was new. Definitely not their pre-engagement dynamic. Thank you, she managed. Though Ryan's financial modeling made my research actually actionable. Marcus from sales leaned back, grinning. You two are adorable. Remember when you nearly threw a laptop at his head during the budget review? That was a misunderstanding, Stella said quickly. You called his projections wildly pessimistic fantasy numbers, Jessica added helpfully. Which they were, Stella defended. At the time, Marcus prompted, clearly enjoying this. Ryan's mouth quirked. Now Stella phrases her criticisms more diplomatically because you listen instead of immediately dismissing my input. I always listened. You once told me my timeline was adorably optimistic. It was. You scheduled Phase 3 for 2 weeks. It was achievable. It took 6 weeks because you kept adding requirements. They realized simultaneously the entire conference room was watching with barely concealed amusement. The old Stella and Ryan would have continued arguing until someone intervened. The new engaged versions apparently couldn't even disagree without everyone finding it entertaining. Anyway, Stella cleared her throat. The expansion timeline is solid, assuming no unexpected complications. Agreed, Ryan said, his eyes still on her with an intensity that made her stomach flip. After the meeting, Natalie cornered Stella by the coffee station. Okay, something's different, her cousin announced without preamble. You and Ryan are different. We're engaged. Things change. No, I mean different. You're looking at each other like... Natalie searched for words. Like it's real. We're selling it. That's the point. Should selling it look that convincing to the coffee maker? What are you talking about? Stella, I just watched you two bicker about project timelines and somehow make it look like foreplay. That's not normal colleague behavior. That's not even normal fake dating behavior. We're committed to the performance. Uh-huh. Natalie wasn't buying it. And the way he looks at you when he thinks nobody's watching, that's performance too? Nat, and the way you unconsciously smile when you hear his voice, also acting. Stella opened her mouth to deny it, then closed it. Because the truth was she had been smiling more the past few days. Ryan texted her good morning before Shed even left for work. They'd fallen into a rhythm of having lunch together officially for appearances, but increasingly just because they enjoyed it. Yesterday, Head brought her favorite pastry from the cafe downstairs because he happened to be there anyway. This morning Shed forwarded him an article about investment strategies she thought He'd find interesting. They were acting like a real couple, and the terrifying part was how natural it felt. It's complicated, Stella finally said. Complicated how? Complicated as in I signed a contract with a 3-month expiration date and somehow forgot to guard my heart in the process. Natalie's eyes widened. You're falling for him. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. It's written all over your face. Natalie grabbed her arm. Stella, does he know? We've acknowledged there might be something real happening and we're terrified. What if you're just caught up in the performance? What if this is just proximity and forced intimacy creating false feelings? Or, Natalie suggested gently, what if 6 months of arguing was actually unresolved attraction that you're finally allowing yourselves to explore? Before Stella could respond, her phone buzzed. Ryan, lunch today? I found a new place. Vietnamese, remember you mentioned missing good for? Stella stared at the message. Shed mentioned that weeks ago in passing. Stella, you remembered that? Ryan, I remember everything you tell me. Her heart did that complicated thing again. Stella, lunch sounds perfect. 12:30. Ryan, it's a date. Well, fake date. Contractually obligated date. You know what I mean. Despite everything, Stella laughed. Stella, see you then, contractual fiancé. You're smiling at your phone, Natalie observed. That's not confused about my feelings behavior. That's completely gone behavior. I need to get back to work. You need to talk to him. Really talk to him about what happens after the 3 months. We will. Eventually. When we're ready. When you're ready or when you're forced to because you're in too deep? Stella didn't have an answer for that. The Vietnamese restaurant was tucked into a side street in Chinatown, the kind of place you'd never find unless someone local showed you. Ryan was already there, seated at a corner table with 2 steaming bowls of pho in front of him. "You ordered for me?" Stella slid into the seat across from him. "Chicken pho, extra herbs, sriracha on the side." "Was I close?" "That's exactly right." Stella studied him. "How did you—" "You ordered it at the company lunch last quarter. I pay attention." There it was again, that careful observation that should have felt creepy but somehow felt caring. Like Ryan saw her in a way most people didn't bother to. "Thank you," she said softly. They ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes, ambient lunch rush noise giving them privacy. "So," Ryan finally said, setting down his spoon, "we should probably discuss the elephant in the room." "Which elephant?" "We have several. The one where we admitted there's something real happening between us, then proceeded to ignore it for 3 days." Stella had been waiting for this conversation, dreading it, hoping for it. "I haven't been ignoring it," she admitted. "I've been thinking about it constantly." "Same." Ryan's fingers drummed against the table, his nervous tell. "The contract specifies that if either party develops genuine interest elsewhere, we accelerate the exit strategy." "I remember. But it doesn't specify what happens if the genuine interest is each other." Stella met his eyes. "No, it doesn't. So we're in uncharted territory, completely off the map." Ryan reached across the table, palm up. "An invitation." After a moment's hesitation, Stella placed her hand in his. His fingers closed around hers, warm and steady. "Tell me what you're thinking," he said. "Really thinking, not the performance version." Stella took a breath. "I'm thinking that I spent 6 months being annoyed by you because it was safer than admitting I was attracted to you. I'm thinking that this fake engagement has given me permission to explore feelings I'd been suppressing. And I'm thinking that I have no idea if what I'm feeling is real or just Stockholm Syndrome from forced proximity." "Stockholm Syndrome." Ryan's mouth twitched. "Am I holding you hostage? Emotionally?" "Yes. With your stupid perfect coffee and your thoughtful restaurant choices and your way of remembering tiny details I mention in passing. Those are hostage tactics. They're dangerous tactics." Stella squeezed his hand. "Because they make me want this to be real. And wanting it to be real is terrifying." Ryan was quiet a moment, thumb tracing patterns on her palm. "You want to know what terrifies me?" "What?" "That this isn't new for me." His eyes met hers, vulnerable and honest. "I've been attracted to you since our second project meeting when you called my analysis competent but lacking vision and then pitched an alternative approach that was actually brilliant." Stella blinked. "That was 8 months ago." "I know. You've been attracted to me for 8 months? Longer, if we're being accurate. But that's when I admitted it to myself." Ryan's grip tightened. "Every argument we had, I was trying to impress you. Every critique was because I wanted you to push back, to challenge me. You were the most frustrating, infuriating, captivating person in every room. You had a terrible way of showing it. I didn't know how to show it. It never felt like that about a colleague, about anyone, really. So, I defaulted to professional competition." Stella's mind reeled. 8 months. Had been interested for 8 months while she'd been— "I called you Robot Ryan behind your back," she confessed. "I know. I heard you tell Natalie." "You heard that?" "Acoustics in the break room are terrible." Ryan smiled slightly. "I started color-coding things more just to annoy you." "You did not." "I absolutely did. You got this little crinkle between your eyebrows when I'd present something with excessive organizational systems. It was adorable." "I don't have a crinkle." "You have a crinkle." He reached across with his free hand, touching the spot between her eyebrows. "Right here. You're doing it now." Stella swatted his hand away, but she was smiling. "So what you're saying is we're both idiots who spent 8 months in denial." "Yes." "And the fake engagement forced us to confront what we'd been avoiding?" "Seems that way." They looked at each other across the table, hands still linked, existing in their own bubble amid the lunch crowd. "So, what do we do?" Stella asked. "We still have a contract. Exit strategies. Our grandmothers would be unbearable if they knew they were actually right. We could let them be unbearable. Could we? Though, your grandmother already has 3 children planned for us. Mine is pricing wedding venues." Ryan laughed. Fair point. So we continue the plan 3 months as agreed, but we add an amendment. What kind of amendment? The kind where we acknowledge this is real. Where we actually date for real while maintaining the engagement facade. So we'd be fake engaged, but real dating. I know it sounds insane. It sounds completely insane, Stella agreed. It also sounds like exactly what I want. Ryan's expression transformed hope, relief, something warmer flooding his features. Really? Really? But we need rules. Real rules, not contract rules. Name them. First, honesty. If this starts feeling wrong or forced, we tell each other immediately. Agreed. What else? Second, we keep the distinction clear. Public, engaged, private, dating. No confusing the two. That might be challenging, Ryan admitted, but agreed. Third, Stella hesitated. We tell no one. Not Natalie, not your father, definitely not our grandmothers, because the second people know, the pressure changes everything. So we fake an engagement while secretly real dating while pretending it's all fake. Ryan shook his head admiringly. We're either brilliant or completely insane. Probably both. He lifted her hand, pressing a kiss to her knuckles, soft, intimate, entirely real. For the record, I'm really glad our grandmothers are meddling masterminds. Don't let them hear you say that. They'll never stop scheming. They're going to scheme regardless. Ryan stood, pulling Stella up with him. Come on, we should get back before people start gossiping about our extended lunch. They're already gossiping. Natalie cornered me this morning about how we look at each other. How do we look at each other? According to her, like it's real. Imagine that. Ryan's hand found the small of her back as they headed toward the exit, automatic, natural. It's almost like it is real. Outside, the autumn sun was bright. They walked slowly back toward the office, neither eager to return to the performance. Ryan, Stella said. Yeah? Can we do something? Just us. Not for appearances, not for the contract. Just because we want to. What did you have in mind? There's a photography exhibit opening at the Morgan Gallery Friday night. I've been wanting to go, but... She trailed off, suddenly self-conscious. But you didn't have anyone to go with who'd actually appreciate it? Something like that. Ryan stopped walking, turning to face her on the crowded sidewalk. Stella Morgan, are you asking me on a real date? I think I am. Then, yes. Absolutely yes. His smile was genuine, unguarded. Pick you up at 7? It's a date. They stood there grinning at each other like fools while pedestrians flowed around them. Then Ryan's expression shifted slightly. Stella, can I try something? What kind of something? Instead of answering, he stepped closer, hand cupping her cheek. His eyes searched hers, asking permission. Stella nodded slightly. And then Ryan was kissing her, not the performance kiss from the gala, not the family dinner kiss designed to convince relatives. This kiss was softer, slower, more deliberate. This kiss was a question and an answer and a promise all at once. When they separated, Stella felt breathless. What was that for? Because I wanted to kiss you. Just you. Not fake you. Not performing for an audience. You, Stella. His thumb stroked her cheek. And because we're real dating now, which means I get to kiss you whenever I want. Assuming you want me to. I definitely want you to. Good to know. They resumed walking, hands linked now instead of his hand at her back. It felt like a statement, a claim, something real in their maze of pretense. We're going to be terrible at keeping this secret, Stella observed. Probably. But we can try. Office Pool probably already has bets on when Stella's phone rang, interrupting her thought. Grandmother Vivian. She exchanged a look with Ryan before answering. Hi, Grandma. Stella, darling, I have the most wonderful news. Stella felt dread pool in her stomach. What news? Margaret and I have been talking, and we've decided to throw you an engagement party, a proper one, with all our friends and business associates. 2 weeks from Saturday at the club. 2 weeks? Stella repeated. Grandma, we've already sent the invitations. It's going to be spectacular. Over 200 guests. Stella stopped walking. Ryan, seeing her expression, moved closer. 200 people, Stella said. At minimum. Everyone wants to celebrate you two. It's the social event of the season. Grandma I've already consulted with Ryan's grandmother. She's thrilled. All you need to do is show up looking beautiful. Oh, and bring that lovely young man of yours. Tell him to prepare a speech about how you two fell in love. Everyone will want to hear the story. Stella met Ryan's eyes. Had clearly heard enough to understand, because his expression had gone from relaxed to strategic. Grandma, I need to go. We'll discuss this later. Of course, dear. I'll email you the details. Love you. The call ended. Stella and Ryan stood on the sidewalk, still holding hands, processing this new complication. Engagement party, Stella said flatly. 200 people, 2 weeks. At which I am apparently giving a speech about our love story. A love story we just today decided was actually real, while maintaining that it's fake to everyone else. They looked at each other, then, despite the absurdity, they both started laughing. We're doomed, Stella said. Ryan pulled her closer, but at least we're doomed together. That's remarkably romantic for a man who color codes his socks. I do not color code my socks. You absolutely do. I saw your drawer when I borrowed your phone charger last week. That was organizational efficiency. It's obsessive, she teased. Says the woman who has 17 browser tabs open at all times. That's research. That's chaos. They were bickering again, but this time it felt different, playful instead of hostile, affectionate instead of adversarial. 2 weeks, Ryan said, turning serious again. We need to prepare. If we're giving speeches, we need a consistent story. The story we told your grandmother. Office rivals, secret relationship. Well, need more detail how the first kiss happened, first date, when we knew it was serious. So we're creating a fake backstory for our real relationship that we're pretending is fake. When you put it that way, it sounds absurd. It is absurd. Ryan checked his watch. We need to get back. But tonight, come over to my place. We'll write this story together. Make it believable. Your place. Unless you'd prefer somewhere else. I just thought more private. Your place is fine, Stella said quickly. Maybe too quickly, judging by Ryan's smile. 7 o'clock. I'll be there. They arrived back at the office, slipping into professional mode as they entered the building. In the elevator, surrounded by colleagues, they maintained appropriate distance. But when Ryan's pinky brushed against hers so subtle nobody else would notice, Stella hooked her finger around his. A tiny connection. A secret. The elevator stopped at their floor. They separated, heading to their respective workspaces. But Stella could feel Ryan's eyes on her as she walked away. And when she glanced back, he was watching. He mouthed, "Tonight." She smiled. Tonight. Stella changed outfits 3 times before leaving for Ryan's apartment. This was ridiculous. They'd spent hours together over the past week. They'd kissed multiple times. They'd literally fake engaged. There was no reason to be nervous about going to his apartment to write a fake love story for their fake engagement party while navigating their real but secret relationship. No reason at all. She settled on jeans and a soft burgundy sweater, then second-guessed it and changed into a dress, then back to the jeans because the dress seemed like trying too hard. "You're being insane," she told her reflection. Her reflection did not disagree. Ryan's apartment was in a modern building downtown, all glass and steel and expensive views. She texted when she arrived, and he met her in the lobby, apparently too impatient to wait upstairs. "Hi," he said, and was it her imagination? Or did he seem nervous too? "Hi, yourself." They rode the elevator to the 23rd floor in charged silence. Ryan's apartment was exactly what Shed expected, meticulously organized, minimalist aesthetic, and yes, she would bet money his closet was color-coded. But there were surprises. A shelf full of worn paperback mysteries, a guitar case in the corner, black and white cityscape photographs on the wall that were actually quite beautiful. "Did you take these?" Stella moved closer. "Hobby. Nothing professional like your work. These are really good, Ryan. Thanks." He seemed genuinely pleased. "I got into it after—" He paused. "After my last relationship ended. Needed something to do with my hands that wasn't work. Stella remembered what Head said about his empty apartment, about working late because going home was lonely. These photographs were beautiful, but they were also solitary, empty streets, abandoned buildings, spaces without people. Wine? Ryan offered, moving to the kitchen. I have a decent Pinot Noir, or there's beer if you prefer. Wine is perfect. He poured 2 glasses while Stella continued exploring. His bookshelf revealed eclectic taste, business theory beside crime novels, beside poetry. His coffee table had a half-finished crossword puzzle and architectural magazines. You're surprised, Ryan said, handing her the wine. A little. I expected more rigid organization. It's organized, just not obviously. He gestured to the sofa. Shall we? We have a love story to fabricate. They settled on opposite ends of the couch, laptops open, preparing to construct their fictional romance. Okay, Stella said. First kiss. When and where? Ryan considered. Needs to be private, intimate, but plausible that nobody witnessed it. Late night at the office too, cliché. Also, people would have seen. What about? Stella thought back through their actual interactions. Remember the site visit to the Seattle property? We went separately, but we were there the same weekend. That could work. Ryan started typing. So we ran into each other, unexpected encounter. Had dinner to discuss the property, and the conversation shifted from business to personal. We started actually talking, Stella continued. Realized we'd been wrong about each other. And at the end of the night, you walked me back to my hotel room. Stella could picture it so clearly, it almost felt like a real memory. And at my door, Ryan added, his eyes on hers instead of his laptop. There was this moment, this tension, and I couldn't help myself. I kissed you. How did I react? You kissed me back. They'd both stopped typing. The story felt too real, too close to what was actually happening. And then, Stella prompted. And then we were both terrified, because this was complicated. We worked together. Our families had business ties. We'd spent months at odds. So we agreed to keep it secret, see where it went without pressure. Exactly. Ryan's voice had gone quiet. We'd meet after work, text constantly, steal moments between meetings. Nobody knew. It was just ours. The fictional story and their real situation were blurring together. Stella set her laptop aside. Ryan. Yeah. Is this story actually fiction? Or are we just describing what's happening right now? Ryan closed his laptop too. I think we might be writing our own future. He moved closer on the couch, not touching yet, but near enough that Stella could feel his warmth. I was thinking, he said carefully, about our rules, about keeping this secret. Having second thoughts? Not about the secret part. About the other parts. His hand found hers. We said public is engaged, private is dating, but what does dating actually mean for us? I don't know. What do you want it to mean? Ryan turned to face her fully. Because sometimes the best love stories start with a little chaos and a lot of meddling grandmothers. The end. Stella's hands found his shoulders, then his neck, pulling him closer. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Ryan rested his forehead against hers. This is dangerous, he murmured. We could get hurt. Probably will. Worth it. Stella pulled back enough to look into his eyes. Absolutely worth it. Ryan smiled, that full, unguarded smile she was seeing more often. Want to order dinner? We still need to finish that love story. Chinese food. I know a place that delivers. While Ryan called in the order, Stella looked around his apartment again. It didn't seem so empty now. Didn't feel so lonely. Maybe that was just the wine. Or maybe it was because she was here. They spent the next 2 hours crafting their fake love story, punctuated by real conversations. Stella learned that Ryan had wanted to be an architect before family pressure led him to business, that he played guitar badly but enthusiastically, that his favorite food was actually breakfast for dinner. Ryan learned that Stella had a collection of vintage cameras, that she'd once backpacked through South America alone for 3 months, that she sang in the shower but only sad ballads from the 90 seconds. Why sad ballads? Ryan asked, laughing. They're more emotionally resonant. You're ridiculous. You color code your spice rack. That's alphabetical organization. Same thing. They were sprawled on opposite ends of the couch now, comfortable and relaxed in a way that felt earned. "This is good," Stella said, reviewing their final version. "Believable. Think we can sell it at the party?" "Well, have to. 200 people is a lot of witnesses." Ryan checked his watch. "It's late. I should let you go home." "Right. Home." Stella didn't move. Neither did Ryan. "Or," Ryan said carefully, "you could stay." Stella's pulse jumped. "Stay? Not like that. I mean—" He ran a hand through his hair, flustered in a way she'd never seen him. "I have a guest room. I just thought we're comfortable. We could keep talking. Or not talking. Just being." The offer was tempting. Too tempting. "Ryan, if I stay, nothing has to happen. We're dating. Taking things slow. Getting to know each other." His eyes met hers. "But I really don't want you to leave yet." Stella thought about going home to her empty apartment, about ending this perfect evening, about leaving this bubble they'd created. "Okay," she said. "He'll stay." Ryan's smile could have powered the entire city. They talked for another hour, curled up on the couch with more wine and the city lights twinkling beyond the windows. Stella felt herself relaxing completely, her head eventually finding Ryan's shoulder, his arm wrapping around her. "This is nice," she murmured. "It really is. We should do it more often." "We will." Stella's eyes were getting heavy. The wine. The warmth. The comfort of Ryan's presence, it all combined into pleasant drowsiness. "Stella," Ryan's voice was soft. "You're falling asleep." Sorry. Don't be sorry." She felt him shift. Then he was standing, pulling her up gently. "Come on." Guest room. He led her down the hallway to a room smaller than his master bedroom but still beautifully appointed. He pulled back the covers while Stella stood there, slightly dazed. "There are spare toiletries in the bathroom," Ryan said, "and I can lend you a shirt if you want something to sleep in." "That would be great." He disappeared, returning with a Columbia t-shirt that would probably hang to her knees. "Bathroom's there. Take your time." When Stella emerged 10 minutes later, face-washed, wearing Ryan's shirt, he was waiting in the hallway with a glass of water. "In case you get thirsty," he explained. "You're very thoughtful. I try." He hesitated at the doorway. "Good night, Stella." "Good night, Ryan." He started to leave, then turned back. Before Stella could react, head crossed the distance, cupping her face and kissing her softly. "Sorry," he said against her lips. "Couldn't resist." "Don't apologize for that ever." He smiled, kissed her once more, then actually left. Stella climbed into the guest bed, surrounded by Ryan's scent on the shirt, in this quiet moment in his home, and realized something terrifying. She was falling in love with him. Not fake love, not performance love. Real, genuine, terrifying love. And in 2 weeks they'd have to perform their fake love story in front of 200 people while hiding their real feelings. This was either going to be the best decision she'd ever made, or it was going to destroy her, possibly both. 2 weeks turned out to be simultaneously too long and not nearly long enough. Too long because Stella spent every day hyper-aware of Ryan's presence, every casual touch in the office, sending electricity through her system. Not long enough, because she was absolutely unprepared for an engagement party with 200 guests. "Stand still," Natalie commanded, adjusting Stella's dress. "You're fidgeting." "I'm not fidgeting. You've adjusted your necklace 17 times. Stella dropped her hands from the delicate gold chain. They were in the country club's bridal suite, and she felt like she might actually throw up. The dress was beautiful, a flowing champagne-colored gown that made her look like someone's radiant fiancé. She felt like a fraud. "You look stunning," Natalie said. "Ryan's going to lose his mind." Before Stella could respond, the coordinator appeared. "Miss Morgan." "We're ready." "Your fiancé is waiting." Stella took a deep breath and followed her out. "Stella." She turned at Ryan's voice and felt her breath catch. He stood in a perfectly tailored black suit, his eyes widening when he saw her. "Wow," he said softly. "You're breathtaking. You clean up pretty well yourself." His hand found its familiar place at the small of her back. "Ready to face the masses? With you?" "Always." The doors opened to thunderous applause. 200 faces turned toward them, friends, family, colleagues, all there to celebrate their fake love that had somehow become terrifyingly real. The next hour passed in a blur of congratulations and questions. Ryan fielded most inquiries with smooth professionalism, weaving their fabricated Seattle story with genuine emotion. Then both grandmothers appeared, looking entirely too pleased with themselves. "Everything is perfect," Vivian beamed. "You two look so in love," Margaret added. "Because you orchestrated this entire situation," Stella said pointedly. "We merely facilitated what was inevitable," Margaret replied smoothly. "You just needed a little push." "We need to talk about this," Stella said firmly. After the party, the grandmothers glided away, and the coordinator announced it was time for speeches. Stella's heart hammered as they walked onto the terrace. 200 expectant faces watched as Uncle Philip introduced Ryan. Ryan approached the microphone, squeezed Stella's hand once, and began. "When Stella and I started working together, I thought I had her figured out. We disagreed on everything." He paused, his eyes finding hers. "But I didn't realize she disagreed because she was usually right. Every challenge made our work better, made me better." The crowd was silent, captivated. I fell for her in increments. The way she gets excited about ideas, the way she sees possibilities where others see obstacles, the way she makes me want to be better, bolder, more open to life. His voice softened. The announcement was unexpected. But the truth is, I was already falling for Stella Morgan. I'd been falling for months, too stubborn and scared to admit it. He looked directly at her. "Stella makes me laugh. She challenges me. She sees through my careful planning to who I actually am, and somehow she still wants to be here." Ryan raised his glass. "To Stella, the most infuriating, incredible, irreplaceable person I've ever known. Thank you for taking a chance on us." The crowd erupted. Stella felt tears threatening as Ryan returned to her side. Then it was her turn. She approached the microphone on shaking legs, found Ryan's eyes in the crowd, and began. "Ryan Blackwell drove me crazy for months. He questioned everything, reorganized my systems, color-coded things that didn't need it." Laughter rippled through the guests. "I called him Robot Ryan behind my back because he was so controlled, so precise, so infuriatingly perfect." "I heard you," Ryan called out, "making everyone laugh more." "I know you did." Stella smiled. "You notice everything, which is one of the things I love about you now." The word hung in the air. Love. "You notice how I take my coffee. You remember conversations from months ago. You make me feel seen in a way I never have before." Her eyes stayed locked on his. "I spent months fighting what I was feeling because it was easier to be annoyed than admit I was falling for you." Her voice dropped, intimate despite the microphone. "You make me braver, Ryan. You make me want to take risks." She lifted her glass. "So here's to taking risks. To meddling grandmothers who were right. And to you, Ryan, for being worth the risk." The applause was deafening. Ryan pulled her into his arms immediately. "That was perfect," he murmured. "I meant every word, I know." "So did I." The crowd began filtering inside for dinner. Ryan and Stella stayed on the terrace, needing a moment alone. "Stella," Ryan said urgently, "everything I said up there I know. I'm in love with you." The words rushed out. "Actually, genuinely in love with you. Not because of the contract or performance, just you." Stella's heart stopped. "You love me. I love you. And I needed you to know it was real." "Ryan Blackwell," Stella said, voice shaking, "for someone so smart, you're remarkably slow." "What?" "I'm in love with you too, you beautiful idiot. I've been in love with you for weeks." Ryan's expression transformed. "Say it again." "I love you, Ryan Blackwell." He kissed her, cutting off anything else she might say. This kiss was different, no hesitation, no performance, just pure emotion. When they separated, breathless, Ryan whispered, "We're really doing this. For real. For real." Stella agreed. Someone cleared their throat. Both grandmothers stood nearby, looking unbearably smug. "I told you it would work," Margaret said. "We need to talk about boundaries," Ryan said firmly. "Did it work out?" Vivian asked innocently. "That's not the point, isn't it, though? You're happy. Everyone wins." Ryan and Stella exchanged a look. They should be angry, but they were in love. "You're impossible," Stella told her grandmother. "But I'm right. Admit it, never." The grandmothers departed, still looking pleased. Ryan pulled Stella close. "We should get back. First dance is waiting inside." They took the floor as the music started. Ryan led her through the dance effortlessly. "You can dance," Stella observed. "I have many hidden talents." His hand tightened at her waist. "I'm terrified right now." "Of what?" "Of how much I feel for you. How fast this happened. How perfectly this fits." "Me too. But we're in it together." "Together," Ryan agreed. They stayed at the party for another 2 hours, but now it wasn't really playing. They were just being themselves, a couple in love. Finally, they escaped to Ryan's car and drove to Stella's apartment. "Come up?" Stella asked. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." Inside, Stella changed into comfortable clothes while Ryan ordered pizza. They ate on the couch watching a movie neither really paid attention to. "When did you know?" Ryan asked eventually. "That it was real. The contract negotiation. When you touched my face and asked if I could fake being attracted to you, I realized I couldn't fake it. It was completely real." Ryan's hand cupped her cheek, mirroring that moment. "I'm sure now, too, that this is real. That we'll figure it out together." They kissed for a while. Then Stella yawned. "Stay?" she asked. "He'll stay." In bed, Ryan pulled her against his chest, his arm wrapped around her waist. "Good night, Stella." "Good night, Ryan." She fell asleep wrapped in his arms, thinking how 3 weeks ago she'd been ambushed into a fake engagement with a man she claimed to hate. Tonight, she'd fallen asleep with the man she loved. Life was strange and beautiful and completely unpredictable, and she wouldn't change a single thing. Epilogue. 3 months later, the contract expired on a Tuesday. They'd both forgotten until Ryan's phone reminder pinged. Contract end date. Engagement duration complete. They looked at each other and started laughing. After meetings, they snuck into conference room C, where they'd negotiated the original contract. "So," Ryan said, "contract's officially over, which means we should stage an amicable breakup?" They looked at each other. "Want to actually do that?" Ryan asked. "Not even slightly." "Thank goodness." He pulled out a small velvet box. Stella's breath caught. "Ryan, this started as fake, but you've become the most real thing in my life. You challenge me, inspire me, make me laugh. I love you more every day." He opened the box, revealing a stunning ring. "Will you actually marry me?" Stella felt tears streaming. "Yes. Absolutely yes." Ryan slipped the ring on her finger and kissed her thoroughly. That evening they announced their actual engagement, met with confusion from people who thought they'd been engaged for months, and knowing smirks from their grandmothers. "I told you," Vivian said to Margaret. "Summer wedding?" both grandmothers asked in unison. Ryan and Stella exchanged an exasperated, amused, in-love look. "Summer's fine," Stella conceded. Later in their apartment they collapsed on the couch. "So," Stella said, admiring her ring, "think we can handle it? We handled a fake engagement that became real. We can handle anything." "Best terrible idea ever." Ryan kissed her. "I love you, Stella Morgan. Soon to be Stella Blackwell, or Ryan Morgan. Or we hyphenate. Or we keep arguing until our grandmothers decide for us. They probably already have." They sat in comfortable silence.